Hello and welcome to BinOfTrash's YouTube channel. uh, I'll be your host today. I'm Trent Kaniuga. I do my own channel, but Bin and I decided to do a little collab piece, and we thought we'd just kind of do a little chat over the whole dealy bob. And because I got a lot of questions for you, she's here with me. Say hello.
Hello.
Hey. So I always refer to you as Bin when I'm like, if I'm speaking about you, I always refer to you as Bin, but that's not your name. You're not Bin of Trash. That's the name you go by.
What's it? I get called like a few different names. Like I get Ben, Bino, Benny, or Amy.
So why do you use that name? What is the significance of that?
Um, Funnily enough, like it started with just a joke name. So, because I used to go by Amy Nico, which I don't know why I went with that name, but my sister said Japanese names were cute to put on the end of your name. So I'm like, okay. And then that was taken for a game I wanted to play. So I was like struggling to find another name, and there just happened to be a trash can outside my brother's room that was completely full. So I'm just like, okay, bin of trash. And it wasn't taken, so I kind of just kept it after that.
Well, it's very memorable. I mean, people remember it, you know. It's easy to remember.
Yeah, it came in handy like down the track because things like people calling my stuff trash and that no longer felt like an insult.
Yeah.
So it kind of like, in a way, it sort of like grew on me and more of just more than a joke, which was cool.
Yeah, I was speaking with my friends from, the Gamers for Good Foundation. You submitted a few pieces to them, or at least one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were saying, like, what's with that name? They wanted me to ask you that, actually. Because they're like, they always ask people, hey, what name do you want to go by in the credits? But sometimes people submit a name, and then they kind of go, well, wait a minute, why'd you put that name? And they were like, is she sure she wants to be known as, like, yes, that's what she's known by. She changes her name on Twitter all the time. But that's cool, though. I mean, it's interesting. I never quite found a good like name for myself other than the one my parents gave me, which is fine, I guess. There's not a lot of Trents, you
Yeah,
know.
there's a lot of Amy's. I grew up with like every classroom I was in, there'd be like three Amy's in it. So I'm just like, no, I don't want to have Amy in my name anymore.
Yeah. So when did you? So we did a collaboration piece. I have a bunch of questions that I want to ask you about you though before we even talk about this. And I was curious about like when you got started. I first became aware of you and your extreme level of ambition and the amount that you post when you started. You started doing like fan arts of my comic Twilight Monk, and I was like, this is awesome. This is so cool. Like that you would take time out to just go, you know what? Like I want to do like a version of this guy's thing. And but you at that time you already had a huge following of people on your Twitter. And when did you get started, and what was the reason behind it, and how did you go about it?
Um, well, I got started like I used to draw when I was little, so that was I guess always the thing. Drawing was just sort of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I used to be more well known for like pixel art. Me and my sister used to do it because she's fairly well known on her own. Her name was Kawaii Hannah, so she was
Yeah.
well known on like DeviantArt and Gaia Online. She used to like be a big name on there.
Really?
Yeah, she was basically like, she was one of like for like if you were going to go buy something from like the mini shops they used to have, more than
Yeah.
likely you'd go to her shop. It'd be sold out like immediately.
That's awesome. Do you guys collaborate then?
We wanted to, but she ended up in like she does web development and web design, so
So
she's
she
not.
was legit, basically.
Yeah, so she doesn't have a lot of time for like artwork as much as she used to anymore, but she's extremely detailed in like anime artwork. That's probably her most preferred drawing style now.
Cool.
Yeah.
But going back to the question though, like what was it that made you decide like I want to do this like on Twitter, I want to do this, or you're also on DeviantArt, right?
Yeah, I think I started on DeviantArt and then didn't really go anywhere after a while, so I kind of like someone actually forced me to go on Twitter. He wasn't blackmailing me, but like he was playing a song on a Skype call, and he said he wouldn't play the rest of it unless I joined Twitter. So I kind of joined Twitter just so I could hear the rest of him playing a song.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then I just
Into it.
started. Yeah, I sort of started probably using it a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure how it grew to the size that it did, though.
Well, I think that it's pretty obvious when you look at like how active you are. If you look at like, I think I have 890 tweets. What are you? How many are you at?
Oh, way too many.
So it's yeah, literally you're at 70,000 tweets. I think that helps. You're very active. But that's actually one of the things I admire the heck out of you for just how much you love this stuff. Like you're doing fan arts all the time. You're doing animations. Like what are you using to animate?
Photoshop.
It's all in Photoshop?
Yeah, everything I make, all my pixel art animations, and they're all made in Photoshop.
But Photoshop doesn't have like rotation tweening or any of that. You have to manually do that.
Yeah, you manually do it all by yourself.
Oh my God.
I don't know, it's fun though. Like, because I guess it kind of got me into doing more old school animation, like what you do on paper. So that's the kind of style of animation I really like.
Yeah. And so I assume I think it's fair to assume that you're an anime fan.
Yes, definitely.
What are some of your favorite animes? Pokemon?
I'd say probably my most favorite one would be One Piece.
Yeah.
I went and bought like the first 23 volumes of One Piece when I went to England for no reason. I like,
That's
was it, Full Metal Alchemist is really good.
yeah.
That was a good
So
one. Um, there's a lot of like smaller named ones that I quite liked, but I can't remember half the names of them because like they're either really long Japanese names or I haven't read them in like ages. Because there was one called Binbo Gamiga, which it was kind of a sexualized anime, but at the same time it wasn't. Like they never actually showed anything, and it was really really funny. But
yeah.
like the manga took a huge turn into a full action blown sort of story, and unfortunately the anime never actually got that far, which was kind of sad.
I hate when they lose the budget, or was it just that they lost direction of it, or was it
I
what?
think because we were reading up about it, apparently I think it's a case of it depends on how many mangas actually sell. So like if the original book sells like 100,000 mangas, they might make one season or something
Yeah.
like that, and it has to sell like double that for it to get a second season. So
Okay.
that's why like One Punch Man did so well, and they continue to get like I think they're getting a second season, which I'm hoping because it's really really good.
It's really good. Yeah. Completely unexpected. It's
Yeah.
kind of the opposite of what the traditional anime is in a lot of ways. But yeah, I love that series too. Is that something that you want to like move into, like doing your own anime, or is it just something that you just enjoy right now? Because you do animations, you also do like kind of sprite animations, like sprite based, like pixel based game art. Like where are you going? What's your directive? Like, do you have a sense of that, or are you just like however you feel per day?
I think for me, I really, really wanted to one day do my own anime. Like, well, I
Yeah.
guess either anime or like some kind of animation series. Um,
Hmm.
but like, I constantly like sort of look at your stuff and you don't think you're good enough for it yet, so you kind of like constantly put it off rather than just go for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely would like to try and animate an entire series at some point, but in like,
By yourself.
yeah, I don't mind doing it by myself.
That is crazy. Yeah,
I,
that's what I'm talking about when I say you're very like ambitious, you're posting all the time, you're very active. Like you really love this stuff and it shows.
Yeah, I think I grew up with like the mentality of like sometimes there's not always someone else who's going to give you a hand for it. So if you want to do it, just do it.
Sometimes you just got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's how I got my start in it. Was like I really wanted to draw comics, but I was from a very small town in the Midwest in the US, and for me it was unheard of for somebody to become a professional artist.
yeah,
But like my friends and I got together and we were just like, we're gonna just make our own comics. We're just gonna do it ourselves. Even though it was a huge undertaking for like a 16-year-old kid to do. But sometimes you just have to do it yourself. I think that's like there's a big movement with indie games right now because of that too. It's like if you can't get a job at Blizzard or wherever, like just make your own games.
Yeah, pretty much. I think
Do you have much in
sorry.
games?
At one point, like when I found your stuff, I kind of went on like a game concept art binge where I was just either going through like every game art book I could find. I ended up buying the Blizzard one and like a ton of other art books I could find. It's funny, I really like the characterized stuff I guess that Blizzard does because they go into it doesn't feel like it's just a mishmash of photos, it's more like actual stylized pictures, which I quite like. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind trying to get into it one day, but I think I am like there are still things that I need to sort of work on before I sort of get into that area, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely hardcore competitive, and also it's divisive. It's like if you're going for the Blizzard Riot kind of art style, you sort of cut yourself off from going into the Tomb Raider or photorealistic like Skyrim art style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If your portfolio is full of one and you've got the other in there, it's going to be very polarizing for whoever's looking at your portfolio. So you really have to like choose. But for me, it was like I just happened to kind of do a little bit more of a Eastern influenced art style anyway from my background in indie comics,
Yeah.
I've never really been good at the mainstream thing. It's just sort of a fluke that anything that I worked on happened to be very stylized and then became hugely popular. It was against the advice of almost everybody I knew in the art field when I was working in video games when I started out. Everybody was like, no, stylization is dead. Like, GTA and photorealism is sort of where it's all going. And I was like, screw that. I'm just going to go work for a company that does stylized games. So I applied to this small company called Blizzard. Back then they were small, all in one building.
Jeez.
And it just kind of ended up being successful. And there are a lot more stylized games now. But I still miss the old days of like Jack and Daxter. Like, I don't know if you
we've got
were
all
into
the Jack and Daxter games.
Yeah. What is your favorite game though, or do you have one?
It's kind of hard to pick actually, because like growing up we had like Spyro, Jack and Daxter, and like Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
And then like as time went on, like we went through like the Harvest Moon games and Final Fantasy games. So it's kind of hard to pick because there's all these different genres to go through.
Yeah, that's true. What's your favorite from each genre, I guess is a better question. But it might take a while to answer. I don't know.
RPG, I definitely think that Final Fantasy IX was my favorite.
Really? Me too, actually.
Yeah. I love the style and the story and everything. It was so captivating.
Yeah, I feel like that was where Final Fantasy really kind of became something else. Like, after that, you know what I mean? That was the last one that felt like the old school Final Fantasies.
Yeah, it did. It was a really, really good game. And all the characters actually had, like, depth to them, which was neat. They're kind of lacking a little bit in that, like, in the later games.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to 15?
I'm kind of, like, in the middle about it because I haven't really paid attention, whereas my brother is, like, he's hardcore excited about like everything that comes out. So he's just like, oh, this is coming out, but they've postponed like Kingdom Hearts again.
Yeah.
So he's just like sitting there like hanging his head, just like, can't buy the game, I won't yet.
Yeah. Well, if you've got your one game, it's like I'm like that with some games. My wife is really into Pokemon. That's like the only game that she plays, which is a great segue into the actual stuff that we're drawing in the background while we're talking here. So what's your exposure to Pokemon?
I got Pokemon when I got my first Game Boy Advance.
Yeah?
So I was like 8, I think.
Gosh, that would have been when they did Ruby?
It was when they did Crystal, I think. Yeah,
Oh.
I got Crystal first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we decided to do a collaboration, it wasn't originally going to be Pokemon, was it?
I think we kind of just like, what was it? We started and then you're just like, okay, I'm sorry, but I've been playing Pokemon Go. I'm just like, that's right, he can become a rock gym leader.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I sort of backed you into a corner on it because I started mine, and then I was like, oh, by the way, it transformed into a Pokemon drawing.
I actually quite like that though, because like sometimes you get started with a picture and like, I don't know, like, I kind of got halfway with it. I'm like, well, now what do I do with it? And then you're like, oh, I've put mine in Pokemon. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll just put mine in Pokemon too then.
That was the element that was missing. It needed something to like, yeah, tie it together. And yeah, it was sort of by accident that mine even became a Pokemon thing. It was an old drawing that I had done. My part of it on the left side was like an old sketch that I had done, and I even released the video of like the rough sketch just showing how to do some techniques and stuff like I do on my channel. And it just kind of evolved into something with a more interesting theme. Because, yeah, I was really into Pokemon Go when it came out. But then I dropped it because there were so many lag problems. And every time I'd turn it on, it was like it was still searching for the server. So both my wife and I just kind of got frustrated with it. And it really only lasted a few weeks for us, if that.
My sister's been playing it a heck of a lot. She lives in the city. So, like... they'll go down the road from where they live, and basically there is a huge section of people that will just go to this one little like park. So all their kids will be playing in the park while they're all looking for Pokemon.
Yeah.
And my niece also helps. She catches Pokemon for my sister.
Yeah.
So that's quite funny.
So it's truly a family effort then.
Yeah, for this one it is a family effort.
But I actually, after playing Pokemon Go, I was just more excited than ever to play a traditional Pokemon game.
Yeah, I think it rekindles the whole, oh, my OMG, like, Pokemon, I remember it when I was younger.
Yeah, and the nice thing about the DS versions is that you can sit on your couch and do it. You don't actually have to exercise. You can collect them all. Yeah.
I do wish they'd had, like, with Pokemon Go, I kind of wish they'd have, like, the original battle system in it. You know, like you go out, catch Pokemon, then you could like put it into your DS when you get home or something like that. Would have been neat.
Yeah, if it's somehow integrated, right?
Yeah, but I hate to think of how hard that'd be.
Well, I read that they were planning on some kind of cross integration, but we won't know until like at the time of this recording. It's not out yet. We don't know what the new Pokemon Ruby and no, it's Sun and Moon are the new ones coming out. Yeah. We don't know like what it is, but I had read somewhere where they were saying there is a little bit of cross integration in some way. It benefits you to have played Pokemon Go in those games.
That's cool.
Yeah, but I like how the art style is finally evolving. I'm looking forward to a Nintendo Switch Pokemon game. That's going to be cool.
Oh, the Nintendo Switch. I do like the fact that Nintendo always tries something different.
Yeah. Their stockholders don't like that.
Yeah, I quite like it. Like, you see all the other ones, and they're always the same thing. It's just a slightly better machine. And then you see Nintendo come out with this, like, far-fetched idea, and you're like, it's so cool, because somebody finally decided to try it.
Yeah, they're always trying something different. But, I mean, I just, Nintendo is, I have a very kind of love-hate relationship with them. Like, there's sometimes when it's like I had a DS that I had a bunch of Pokemon on my cartridges, and I had left my DS on an airplane in Dallas, so I lost it. And because of that, I lost all the games that are on it. Your games aren't tied to your account login or anything. They're tied to the device. So I lost all of my Pokemon. It's like 8 years of Pokemon, you know. I lost a bunch of my cartridges, and they're just gone. And a bunch of games that I had bought off of the eShop or whatever. So yeah, and like with every other device, like if you lose your, you know, PS Vita game or your iPhone game, or if you lose your device, like you can just re-download all your software, you know. And I really hope Nintendo catches up with that. You know what I mean? That's my only real gripe about them. That, and they seem to have trouble with bringing, you know, third-party development to their platforms. Hopefully the Switch will be the difference with that, though.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate it when you have, like, you buy something that's always tied to, like, the piece of machinery it's on rather than, like, an account so you can move it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that Sony they're so good at it. Like, just from device to device. It's like I'm getting a PS4 Pro and I know it's just going to be log in, download everything, you know, everything that I own, everything that I bought. I don't have to worry about like, oh, geez, I'm going to lose all of my stuff, you know. But anyway, how long we've been talking for like probably 30 or 40 minutes now already. Do you feel like was there anything that you wanted to talk about while we're recording this video about the artwork itself or anything on your mind?
I guess I'm trying to like I'm looking at both of the pictures, and like one thing I definitely know that you do like really well is how clean your lines look.
Okay.
I'm awful for that. All of my stuff is like zoomed out like way too far, and then I don't like clean it up, so it's always like really messy.
Well, I think I spend way too much time on that stuff, and actually I need to loosen up more. But I think for me, it was because I had started out doing comic books for so long, and it was during an era of time when it was all about clean lines, and honestly, like, well, I mean, have you been drawing professionally for like 20 years? It's pretty normal. Like it becomes second nature, I guess. It's just time. Like the thing about like getting clean lines is just eventually you train your wrist to kind of do this perfect little arc, and you just know how to get the arc that you're trying to get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I can draw like a decent circle finally.
I can't draw circles.
It's funny, like every now and then I do like lessons with like younger kids on like drawing basics. And
Yeah.
I'll draw a circle and they just look at me and they go, "How did you draw that circle?" And I'm just like, you just put your pen down and make a circle, and then there you go. And they're like, "That's not how it works. I can't do that."
How good are you at drawing from memory?
I'm not bad at drawing from memory. Like most of the pictures that I draw, I don't normally use a reference.
Really?
Yeah, I very rarely use a reference. Generally, a reference is only used for, like, if I can't remember clothing and stuff. That's about it.
For me, it's constant. Like, you don't see it in this painting, but I had, like, artwork up on the side, or, like, backpack designs, or, like, Google. Like, it's constant. But for me, it's, like, I think it's just to introduce the idea into my mind of like shape language for something other than what I'm used to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Every now and then I've like looked at some of your work and I'll be like, I think I pinched the belt design that my character was wearing on this picture from one of your other ones that you'd done, because I'm like, I really like the belt on it.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
It doesn't look familiar. Would it have been the Bandito swordsman? Maybe
It
he had a
might
lot
have been.
a lot of belts. That guy. But we should find another way to collaborate sometime. Maybe I don't know. You ever do animation for games?
Not often, but I'd like to get into it.
That would be interesting to see. I'm doing a lot with like indie game stuff right now. It'd be really interesting to see. Like, I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. But this was really fun to collaborate with you. I'm glad we finally got a chance to actually talk. I mean, I've been following your Twitter for the last year, and congratulations. Your YouTube is a huge smashing success. You got a lot of people following you. That's really inspiring and awesome. And I think you're an inspiration to the community. I think you're always doing these lessons and teaching people things, and I think that it really shows how much like people tend to give back, and I think that's really awesome. You have an inspiring presence on YouTube and on Twitter. So
Thank you.
yeah. All right. Well, I think that kind of covers it for our commentary on this one, and you guys should subscribe to BinOfTrash's YouTube channel. And maybe when you're done with all of her stuff, you could swing on over and check out mine.
I definitely need to check out yours.
You haven't? You haven't even been to my YouTube channel? Shameful. All right. Well, that about does it for us. See you guys later. Ciao.